and good afternoon, Rotarians. Good to see everybody. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Larry Kenemore. He is a retired paramedic. He was originally from San Diego, but he currently lives in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. And he is here as a representative of Rotary International, as he is also represents Rotary before the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime. And he is involved with Rotary International and Rotary International's Fellowship Care, and also involved in the Fellowship of Military Veterans and Rotary Club of Mental Health. And that's just the name of a few of the things that he is involved with. And one of his main things he's involved with is Project SMART, and that was developed for local Rotary clubs, and that's what he's here today to talk to us about. So with that, we'll give Larry Kenemore a warm Rotary welcome.
So as you heard, I'm the North American Task Force leader for the Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention. It's been a 3-year project in planning and getting ready to launch. We've been about 13 months in the launch stage, and we are going to attack the addiction and opioid crisis in the country the same way as we did with polio. So we do know that Rotary has been successful at one thing, and that is we eradicated polio worldwide. Only 3 cases in the world right now. And in fact, there's, I think there was 50 or 60 district governors just came back from Pakistan and that area there where the last polio cases were, and they vaccinated thousands of people while they were there doing that project. But also you need to know that John Yuko announced at the Zone Conference in San Diego a couple of weeks ago that May 2025 will be the end of polio for Rotary. They believe they will have enough funds in the bank to be able to sustain it far into the future. And so we are in the running to be the next big project, because the numbers we presented to Rotary were this: more people have died from addiction than died from AIDS, polio, and COVID combined, 2 to 1. You'll notice you're part of that Florida as it comes up on the screen here. You'll see where these are where all the overdose deaths are in the last 10 years. As you can see, we're in the heart of it here. So it's time for our next challenge: addiction and the opioid epidemic. I'd like for you to all look at those red numbers that are down there in the bottom right-hand corner. You'll notice that we lost 21 million people to overdoses, and we have 21 million people that are addicted. That's up from 19.6 million in 2019. The key to that number is, in that same period of time, we lost 1 million people that died from addiction, but we are gaining 1.4 million new people with addiction. So we're gaining people faster than they're dying. So we're building this huge pipeline of people that have addiction that needs to be addressed. It's not just the people that are dying, but it's the people that are also coming into the pipeline. And that's what Project SMART is about. And so we know all of these things have been tried: drug take back days, drug coalitions, and I can stand here and tell you for a fact that none of them have worked. And the reason we know is because the numbers keep going up, the people becoming addicted and people dying. All have failed.
There's always been people using substances to alter their mood. That's never going to stop. The thing that was different with opioids is we exposed millions and millions of people to this type of drug that never would have went and bought drugs off the corner. Their character would have never let them do that. But they got it from a doctor, so they thought it was safe. They got it filled at their pharmacies. It must be safe, right? It's a legitimate drug from a legitimate company. How could it hurt me? As pharmaceutical sales decline, everybody who still has an opioid use disorder, they still have it. We can't pass a law to make that go away. So that switch to heroin makes sense. It's logical.
So we worked on this issue of Project SMART, and while we were working on it, we discovered some astounding facts. First off, that our water is polluted with pharmaceuticals. Everybody's drinking water, every glass of water that's in this room is polluted with at least 21 pharmaceuticals. We have tested 224 drinking waters across this country, and every one of them had a minimum of 21 pharmaceuticals in the drinking water. The second thing we discovered, it's not even regulated by the government. Anybody know why? They can't regulate it because there's no known process to remove it once it's in the drinking water. So the EPA says we can't put any regulations on a city or anybody to get it out of the water. There's no known way. And so there's no regulations. So you know what we need to do? We need to quit throwing it in the trash, flushing it down the toilet, and sending it to your neighbor's drinking water. So our story is pretty simple. We do know this was a preventable epidemic from our research. We do know that 60 billion taxpayer dollars have been spent on it so far. And we do know that our drinking water is polluted, and we know none of this has worked. So we invented what's called Project SMART, S-M-A-R-T, stands for School Education, Medicine and Drug Disposal, Awareness, Recovery, and Treatment. And I'm going to go through each one of them with you. This is our board of directors. These are all Rotarians, past district governors. There's physicians on there. This is me. I'm a retired paramedic, 24 years, City of San Diego Fire Department. I was involved in the black tar, heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamine days. I've had my hands on this, and it is a disease. The first thing you need to understand, it is a disease, and I'm going to give you an example why. In one 24-hour shift, I resuscitated the same lady 3 times. Do you have any idea what she said all 3 times when she woke up? Do you know how much that cost me? Now, you don't think it's not a disease, just think of this. She's dying. She knew she was dying. She knew we resuscitated her, but what did she say? You know how much that cost me? Now, as a fireman paramedic, when you drive around your district, you see these people. You see what they do to raise their money, and you understand, but you need to understand it is also a disease, and it is treatable. And if they get into treatment, it's 85% success rate. And that's what we're going to try to do with our Project SMART. So Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention, other than Rotary International, is the only Rotary group that has a seat at the United Nations. I represent the Rotary Action Group at the UN about every 3 months, and sometimes it's a Zoom meeting at 3 a.m. in the morning, depending on where it's coming from.
Rachel, you have the floor to say a few words.
This is the 2022 RI Convention.
Thanks a lot. So yes, I work on the research and evaluation team at Rotary, and you'll see here on this diagram what we're calling the building blocks to impact. As you're well aware, Increase Our Impact is a big part of Rotary's action plan. And a lot of service projects really focus on the inputs, focusing on the money that's raised or the materials or the outputs, the number of people trained or the number of items distributed. And we're really encouraged by the Addiction Prevention Action Group and the efforts that they're doing to support Rotary clubs and districts to really focus more on the outcomes, the behavior change, the knowledge change, as well as the impact. Has addiction decreased? Have deaths from overdose decreased? And so we really applaud their efforts, and we're continuing to collaborate with them and learn from them as they use this toolkit, get feedback, and understand and support Rotary to better design service projects that truly lead to impactful, meaningful change in people's lives. So thanks so much for the collaboration.
So you can see Rotary International recognized us in 2022 as the only program they've ever seen presented to them that can provide them with the data to show what's been done. And I'm going to talk to you about Tallahassee, Florida here in a minute. So let's start with school education. So does anybody here know why Just Say No and Dare failed? Does anybody know? It's interesting. When we started the research on this project, we talked to these people that were educators and said, how in the world, when we train children from grade 1 through grade 12 at an age grade-based education program, do you think that you could take a whole school, put them in a room, and teach them something? Every one of them is going to come out of there learning something different. So we learned from these people that we had to create an age grade-based program. This is one of the biggest parts of this project. You're going to find out it's a 20-year project for Rotary, 20-year project. We think it's going to take that long to graduate a generation of children that know what addiction is and why you don't want to be addicted. And so we have a in-school grades 1 through grade 5, and then we have drug-free clubs, which we put into the schools. And so now I need to stop right here and tell you this. Our program is fully funded. We are not looking for any money from your club. We will provide you with everything that you need. This project is fully funded. I will tell you that this is the first time this has happened to me. This is the 277th club I've spoke to this year. Our grant writer who works for us is Kyle Curran, is sitting back here. And some of the people that put up millions of dollars for this project are back here from SteriClean. There are grantees that are behind this project 1,000%. So this is provided at no cost to your schools, your school district, your club, your district, and it's free, and it will educate the children on what addiction is and why. This is why you need school education. Do you see this? 169% increase, 2019 to 2023. I'll give you a better one. Since January the 1st of this year till September the 1st of this year, 27 children ages 11 to 17 have died in a classroom from an overdose. 2 of them here in Florida. 2 of them here in Florida. So you don't think it's a problem? It is a problem. It's a problem everywhere. When I go to clubs and they tell me, oh, not in my town, it's everywhere. So this is a 20-year project. As I said, we think it'll take 20 years to graduate a generation of children that know what drugs are and why they don't want to be addicted. So medicine and drug disposal, as I told all of you, we do know people are flashing it down the toilet, throwing it in the trash, polluting everybody's drinking water. We needed to figure out a way to take care of that issue. And it is a problem. It is a problem. One of them is leaving unsecured in the home, because if you have any narcotics there, there's always addicts that are looking to steal those drugs. So we came up with 2 things. I'm going to pass this around. This is a bottle, holds about 60 pills per day. It's got your Rotary name on it. All you do is put your medications in there and it automatically destroys them right in the bottle. We will mail one of those bottles to every mailing address within your city for free. It also comes with a postage paid envelope. That one is full, you put it in there and they'll get another one for free. And you'll notice up there on the other side is we have the kiosks that are clear plastic see-through. We'll provide you as many of these as you want all around the city. People can put their drugs in there and destroy them immediately. And it shows that the Rotary Club is doing it because the Rotary Club's name is on the kiosk. Awareness, naloxone training. And by the way, last night in Tallahassee, Florida, the Tallahassee Rotary Club trained the 2024, all the graduating physicians from the University of Florida on naloxone training last night. Tonight, I'm going to be in Jacksonville training the Jacksonville Police Department on naloxone training. And what is naloxone? Real simple. It's a drug, comes in a equipment like this that you stick in somebody's nose, push the button on the bottom, and you will save their life. We will give you as much as this that you want. We will come and train your people to train other people. You can be able to provide this all across your city for free. You need to have a minimum of 10 to 15% of your population be carrying naloxone to save lives. And that's what I'm going to tell you about Tallahassee in a minute. So we have collaborated with another one of our grantees who is putting up the money for this project for Cloxato. It's the newest naloxone on the market. It's the only 8 milligram one. It's twice the strength of any other product on the market. And the reason is simple. I'll pass this around. The Apopka Rotary Club took on this project. And next door in the city of Tavares, if you go to our website, you can see her body camera. The police officer at 2 a.m. in the morning pulls the car over. There's a paper sack on the center console. It's cold. You can see the moisture coming out of her mouth at 2 o'clock in the morning, puts her hand in there and it's full of money. You see her step back wipe her nose like that. 30 seconds later, she's on the ground from an overdose. They gave her 3 doses of another product that was there, and they still had to take her to the hospital. The Apopka Rotary Club went to them and said, we can provide you with a much stronger product that helps save lives. It works, it's effective, and we will provide all that you want for free to spread around your community. And you're going to find out what Tallahassee has been doing for the last 13 months on this. As I told you, we also, under the awareness, we collaborate with StairClean. So we do know, in fact, last night when I was in Parkland at the Rotary Club there, we have a police car down there that they called StairClean and said that we had a person in the back seat that was handcuffed that had fentanyl, and now the police car is completely contaminated and needs to be decontaminated. We do know that, everybody listen closely, we do know that down in Tampa, Florida, a 1-year-old 14 months ago got down on the floor in I believe it was a Holiday Inn, crawled across the floor. There was fentanyl on the floor. The baby overdosed and died. Everybody remember reading that? Yeah. So these places need to be decontaminated. People need to know where to do that. And that's what we'll provide you with. Provide you with the cards to hand out to the hotels, motels, police departments, fire departments, where they need to be decontaminated, because people don't know where to do that now. They've never even thought of it before. In fact, until that baby died, nobody ever thought of a hotel room, then just crawling across the floor and being overdosed. And by the way, I went to, what state was that in when I trained all your trainers? Omaha. I went to Omaha, Nebraska, and trained all their franchisees as naloxone trainers, and they'll be glad to help your club. Recovery. So we all know that Florida is the eye of the storm in the recovery issue. It's called the Florida Shuffle. You spend $50,000, 6 weeks, going to go to recovery. They're going to go home and they're going to be clean. They're going to be straight, and they're never going to overdose again or take drugs. And then 6 weeks later, they're doing it. And then you spend another $150,000 until all the insurance money runs out. So we said, we need to find out about how we can let people know about the success rate of these organizations before you spend the money and send them there. So we have collaborated with Conquer Addiction, who has a database. You can type in the zip code, the name of an organization, and they will tell you what their success rate really is. Does anybody know what the average success rate is for these organizations? 39%, but listen to this. Some of them here in this city is only 8%. Only 8%. And you're going to spend $50,000, $100,000, 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever, and they're still going to go out and hit the streets and get back on their drugs. We'll provide this database to you for free. Last is T for treatment. We do know that treatment is successful. We do know there's medications to treatment, but you need to get the people into treatment for that to happen. So we collaborated with the North Carolina Medical Society, who during COVID invented a virtual VBOT program where your club can provide treatment 24/7, 7 days a week to anybody that needs it for free. You see that card up there? It's got a QR code. It also has a special 330 number just for Rotary clubs. You call that number and you get them treatment immediately. 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We spread those cards around to the police department, the fire department, the emergency room physicians. You spread them all over your county saying, we're going to provide treatment because it's 85% successful. So this Project SMART provides all 4 elements that we know. It expands your club's reach. It enhances your club members' participation. It increases your club's impact and increases your ability to adapt. It also meets 6 out of the 7 areas of focus. It also does club service, community, and youth. And how does it work? Real simple. Just like they did in Parkland last night. Before I left, they already had a committee of 5 people that they formed before I left. We will provide you with everything after that. We will send people here to help you. Let me tell you how successful it is. This will change. There we go. This is the Tallahassee Club. One of those people that works in the governor's office, actually. So they have been at it for over a year. The CDC just released their report 2 weeks ago. Tallahassee, Florida is the only place in the United States that has lowered their overdose deaths. And they lowered it by 16.9%. And the CDC said it was because of what Rotary was doing in Tallahassee, Florida. And I told you what they did last night. So I'm here to answer any questions.
Go. I'm sure we'll have a ton. Let me get over here.
Addiction is really two parts. It's an obsession of the mind and an allergy of the body. If you don't, and there is no treatment for the allergy of the body. That is, medical science has not found that yet. So all we're treating is the obsession of the mind, and that's a lifetime venture. It doesn't happen in 21 days. It doesn't happen in 1 year. It doesn't happen in 10 years. It's a lifetime venture. Does this program couple with a 12-step program or some other program to provide lifetime support for the?
Glad you asked that question. So what we do know is this, is we have a database of all the programs that are available. So we do know that some people don't like 12-step. Some people don't like Celebrate Recovery. But don't you want to give them all these places that are available? Pick and choose what you want to do. We're not saying you have to do anything. We just say you need to do, what'd you say? You need to do something. Yes.
That's gratifying, the success you had in Tallahassee, especially considering the former mayor being an addict. Thank goodness he didn't become governor. What is your opinion on the wisdom or the effectiveness of methadone maintenance? We have those clinics here in Orlando.
Sure. As again, I said, there's medications to treat it. There's 5 different medications, whatever it is. We need to get them into treatment because we have the stats that show it's 85% success rate. Not sending them away somewhere for 3 months, 6 months or whatever. Get them on the medic. If you're a diabetic, what do you take? Insulin. It's a medication. This is a disease. It can be treated as a disease. There's medication. Yes.
I'd like to relate to this club a personal incident on this topic. You may remember Stacy Felter when she was a member of this club. Stacy is the daughter of John and Vicki Felter, who've been long-time friends of my wife and I. Vicki's son, Tristan, was attacked in a bar fight by someone he didn't know, stabbed multiple times, almost died, and in his recovery became addicted to opioids. Over the next 2 or 3 years of his life, he fought against it. Then about 1.5 years ago, he had continued. He went out to the street and bought what he thought was a tablet of Percocet. It was laced with fentanyl, and he died that night. Now, that's a personal story to me. This is, if you haven't been impacted by that kind of thing, you have no idea how it tears the family up. First going through the addiction and then going through the death. It's absolutely heartrending. Beyond that, there is some good news. The local police and the sheriff's department looked at this case and said, we have a good idea how we can attack this. If somebody dies in an armed robbery, everybody that's involved get charged with murder. We're going to go after the pusher, charge him with murder. The local pusher folded and led them to 3 more layers up the chain. They got a person who was a second level in this cartel in California. He's here in Orange County now in jail facing murder. So
Thank you. Anybody else?
I wanted to ask you a question. You were talking about the container that destroys the drugs.
Yeah, it's floating around here somewhere on a table.
I've seen somewhere online where you could also use something like soda pop or an aspirin. You put it in the container and you put all the drugs in there. Is that true or not true?
That is not true.
Okay, because I saw that in a way to destroy them.
That is not true. The DEA made us prove to them that after the drugs were put in there, that there was no drugs. Otherwise, that couldn't be mailed through the mail. Otherwise, you'd be transporting drugs.
Right.
And so $25,000 later of testing, there's absolutely zero drugs in there when they do that. And there's only one process to do that. So the major ingredient in it, anybody have any idea what it is? Activated charcoal. Now, as a paramedic, 24 years, I gave a lot of activated charcoal to adults and children that ingested things that they shouldn't have ingested. And it always made them vomit. In fact, I assume that's what it did. But actually, if you go back to the Roman days, the Romans were pretty smart. They realized if you stuffed activated charcoal down somebody's mouth and throat, if they had any poison in them, it would actually absorb the poison in the stomach. And so the activated charcoal is 90% of it, and it actually absorbs all the chemicals into it. And during our testing, there's no way to wash it out, no way to flush it out, no way to burn it out. Once it's in there forever, captured by the activated charcoal. Yes.
This is fabulous. I'm sure you've motivated this group. Are you also doing this at zone meetings? And if so, why are we not doing this from your district?
Yes, I haven't been to your zone meeting here because you were in Bahamas, I think. Is that right? Yeah, so we didn't go to that one.
What role does the pharmaceutical companies play in this as far as the profitability and it seems like for doctors to not overprescribe or to better educate when they do prescribe as to the gravity of what they're about to take, that would be a crucial first step. And then also, and sorry if this is a stupid question, do the doctors benefit financially from when they prescribe a drug? Like, is there a benefit to them overprescribing this, or why would that be happening?
I don't think that there's a benefit for the doctor themselves other than the patients coming to them and paying the fee to see the doctor to get the prescription. And that's what the whole deal was with the Sacklers back in the beginning, is to get this pill mill going with all these people coming back and renewing prescriptions. The doctors loved it because they charged the patient for an office visit every time they came back.
I have a question, if you will. What does it cost to clean a hotel room?
I have no idea. You're
Just a
asking
ballpark.
something that's
Yeah. Wait a minute.
It depends on what we're cleaning. If somebody's had an overdose, we are specially trained to go in and clean up after a fentanyl overdose, and not all companies are specially trained, and it will cost several $1,000s to go in because we have to wear special suits. We have to dispose of everything. It's a biohazard. So we have to dispose of it in a very specific way. We have to test the area with swab tests. We have to do a lot of different things to ensure there is no more fentanyl. And sometimes it's not just the room. Sometimes housekeeping or somebody will actually track it out of the room. So it is a very costly process.
Is the hotel industry anywhere near embracing this?
We would like to see more embrace it. And one of the largest reasons is because, quite frankly, housekeeping should not be put at risk. When housekeeping goes into a room, they don't always know what's happened in the room. They can tell something has happened in a room. And right now, I think at this point, we can't ever be sure what has happened. We've recently been called to test rental cars at the airport. We've been called to test cars at auction that have been involved in crimes. Many cars, when the police pull individuals over, they find fentanyl on that individual or fentanyl in the car. That car cannot be rented out. So nobody can run the risk right now of guessing whether or not it was fentanyl. And we've all read daycare centers, fentanyl in the daycare. The children in New York died because the owners of the daycare center were too busy hiding their fentanyl. They didn't call 911. So it's, when you ask if they embrace it, I think a lot of this is education, and that's a big role that we could play to educate people, because I don't think people realize it's a tidal wave right now, and we do it.
You know, we have air sniffers to find explosives, et cetera. Is there anything in the pipeline?
No, you need them people. They got those swabs that'll tell you in a heartbeat.
Well, but a hotel is going to pay thousands of dollars to have a 1,000-room hotel cleaned. There needs to be some way to identify it, but nothing in the pipeline.
No, and you all need to understand this. Listen to what the latest has happened. So we do know that our government went down and met with Mexico and China and all them, and they're trying to put a stop to it. Well, guess what they just discovered here in southern Florida a month ago? They have now figured out, instead of making fentanyl into a powder, they made it into a liquid. So they can now put it in vaping pens. And so we had a child in southern Florida, 14-year-old in the classroom, took a hit from his friend's vaping pen and overdosed in the classroom. And it had liquid fentanyl in it, not the powder, liquid. Yes.
We have more hotel rooms in Central Florida than anywhere else in the world. How do we approach a hotel and say, you need to do this if they don't know that they even have a problem?
So that's not what you're about as the Rotary Club, or what we're about at Rotary Action. What we're here to do is provide you with the resources if something comes up, because we did this because we had people in different clubs coming to us saying, hey, our police car has been sitting on this back lot for 4 months because it's contaminated. We need to use it. What do we do? So you as a club need to have the resources to give to them to say, this is who you need to do it with. And as again, I told you, the reason that we're fully funded is because of grantees like these who fully fund us, and our grant writer back here who writes our grants for us. Yes.
Hold on, one more.
And that's a really great question. How do we get our hotels, right? How do we get people involved? It has to be bigger than just involving them in cleaning their rooms. They have to be stakeholders in the community. And to answer that question, you need a hub and a spoke. You need the Rotary to go out into the community and say, this is really important. This is how you do it. Well, we don't want the hotels necessarily to just think, we'll be ready if there's an emergency. We want them to be such stakeholders in the community that they're doing everything they can to educate the community so they don't get fentanyl in the hotel room. So these things, and I think the way to really tackle this, if you really think about it, is rather than being concerned about what do we do when it comes into the classroom, it should be, what do we do to keep it from coming into the classroom? And I think to answer that question, what we would like to do with SteriClean and what we would like to partner with you is to create those stakeholder relationships. So it doesn't get to how much does it cost to clean up an overdose. That's what we do all the time now. Quite frankly, that's not how we want to make our money. We would rather prevent that from happening in the first place.
I assume that there's a do-it-yourself kit that you can provide to a club.
So the first thing that has to happen is the club has to form a committee. You need 3 to 5 people. The size of this city, probably like Tallahassee, you need 8 people on a committee to do this project. You form the committee, send us their photo of the committee together, just like they did in Tallahassee, and with their email addresses, and we will set up a meeting with the committee and take you through step by step what to do first, why to do that first, what works, what doesn't work. We've been through all of it. We've had quite a bit of experience in the last 18 months on this.
So if I want to go to an organization and present this and make them aware of it, et cetera, do you have a AV program or a set program?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you so much for bringing.
Lady back.
Catherine's got one more question.
Just wonder if Rotary is getting involved on the criminal prosecution side of this, because it seems
No.
like this is all great, but it just seems very reactionary. So if the people who were distributing fentanyl, if they went to prison and never got out again, then this would stop and that we wouldn't be chasing the chickens.
It wouldn't stop. I can tell you as a paramedic, when There's always going to be a need for a drug dealer because there's always going to be somebody that has an addiction that needs it. So our job is to reduce the number of people that are addicted. That's the key. Remember that pipeline that keeps filling up with more people that are dying? That's the problem. And that's why the school education program is one of the linchpins of this, that's why it's a 20-year project, is to have that generation that's graduated and know what addiction is and why you don't want to be addicted. And the drug-free clubs in your schools and stuff you can't believe the research, how successful they are of lowering the number of kids that are vaping and using drugs and the number of kids that are overdosing. It's very successful. Yes.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for making us aware of this.
Thank you.
I have a small gift for you to take with you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. You know, it's one of the things a big part of that story was disposal of drugs. I had a project 25 years ago where we were renovating a lab because this set of research team was collecting liquid samples from sewage treatment plants because the outflow of that sewage treatment plant, all the fish were sterile. And they found high volumes or percentages of birth control pill residuals in the water that was sterilizing the fish. So, you know, flushing your drugs down the drain is a bad idea. Certainly, you know, taking too many things that your body doesn't use goes right along with that. So it's a much bigger deal if there's 21 chemicals in everybody's water. So